of wisdom. What interesting imagery, huh? The fear of the Lord is the root of wisdom, and her branches are long life. Ben Sira 24:12-17 likewise describes wisdom as different types of trees. And Ben Sira 4:13 and Baruch 4:1, and he says these echo Proverbs 3:18. They use the image of holding fast to wisdom. This idea of being wise. This is also another Egyptian idea, of course. They used Sia, intelligence, to uphold the universe. They believed it was important to use their brains. As Hugh Nibley said, they must constantly be thinking, using their God-given mental capabilities to sustain and uphold the universe, because the entire universe is, one way to put this, I would, right off the top of my head, is it is a process of life. That's one way to look at that. Wisdom being associated with Asherah, the wisdom discussed in the book of Proverbs. Here is Margaret Barker's, in her book, The Great High Priest, The Temple Roots of Christian Liturgy, and she's talking about the first temple, Solomon's Temple. It's published by A.T.&T Clark for 2003. Brand new text out on page 237. I'm not going to get into all of her details in her chapter, Wisdom, the Queen of Heaven. It's simply phenomenal. One possible, very real interpretation is that it is the mother of the god that is being spoken of and not the wife. However, very interesting, she notes how Philo, the early Jewish Christian philosopher who adapted Greek philosophical terms to his Judaic religion, that's important to keep that in mind. That's not understood very well. He said God was the husband of wisdom, and the Logos, which of course the Gospel of John equates with Jesus Christ all the way. In the beginning, the Logos was the Word, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God, you know. Well, the Logos was the son of wisdom, his mother, through whom the universe came into being. Wisdom was the firstborn mother of all things. So he presented the story of the patriarchs and their wives as a complex allegory in which the wife of each patriarch, in turn, was wisdom. So we see the matriarchs as wisdom, the eternal wife and mother, perhaps an echo of the ancient wisdom who has been both mother and consort of the ancient kings. Her analysis is really remarkable, but she hits the nail on the head with this. This is the way scholarship is approaching the archaeological as well as the already existing texts which we have, but we have been misreading for centuries. Her material is a breath of fresh air in this regard. Remember where I told you earlier how the Christians and Jews argued about the Jews taking scriptures out of the Old Testament text of the Messiah reigning from a tree. Here's Barker's analysis on page 243 of The Great High Priest. There had been at one time a version of Psalm 96:10 which read, "The Lord reigns from the tree." Justin quotes this line in his debate with Trypho, at Trypho 71, as an example of words which Jews had removed from the scriptures in the middle of the 2nd century because these were significant for Christians. The 1st century letter of Barnabas hints at the idea. The royal realm of Jesus is founded on a tree. These additional words in Psalm 96 were known to several early Christian writers, but not known in any known Hebrew, although this verse has not been found in Qumran. There is, however, evidence elsewhere for the throne and the tree. One of the murals in the central area of the synagogue at Dura Europos shows a figure enthroned in a tree. The tree of life. This was said to be a place where the Lord rested when he came into paradise, according to 2 Enoch 8:3 and the Apocalypse of Moses in 22. And the tree of life, the river of life, and the throne of God and the Lamb. This is one figure, you see. The human king, after he had become the Lord, are together in the Holy of Holies in John's final vision in Revelation 22, 1-5. The great tree of life was a fragrant tree, she notices. Enoch also saw the tree of wisdom, fragrant and with fruit like grapes. But in the Nag Hammadi text known as On the Origin of the World, this is how the tree of life was described: of immense height, colored like the sun, with beautiful branches, leaves like a cypress, and fruit like bunches of white grapes. This is her on page 244. You remember Nephi saw the fruit of the tree of life as being white. Very worth understanding. The tree of life was a symbol of wisdom. Proverbs 3:18. And so, I believe I've established enough of a precedence for this principle of God and his wife. And the whole point of the marriage, the Horus Gamos, is the union, or possibly even the reunion, the at-one-ment, the conjunction, as it were, not only in the heavenly bodies of the sun and the moon, as earth and heaven, but brought right down to our scale, male and female of the human species, because we emulate the gods. This, I believe, is this symbolism in this men Horus figure. This is why he is ithyphallic. It's not meant to be crude. It's not meant to embarrass or cause problems. It is trying to signify. It is trying to show that fruitfulness, abundant life, continual creation through begetting is had through this sexual union. I believe that's part of the point of this figure. I believe being on the bottom half of the hypocephalus, which always represented the female, the chthonous element, the earth element, while the upper half of most hypocephali are solar in character. They are male. They're discussing the heavens and light, while the underworld is dark. Again, unified in a circle. This is the Horus Gamos itself. The entire hypocephalus depicts this uniting of opposites. Heaven and earth, male and female, light and dark, left and right. It's a beautiful summary of the whole process. I believe this Min figure 7 shows this. In her tour de force book, The Revelation of Jesus Christ, Margaret Barker, again, AT&T Clark Publishing, and this one is 2003. The reprint is 2003. It was originally published just 6 years ago in the year 2000. 209, she makes a startling statement. The goddess is most familiar in her role as the Holy Spirit. The power in creation is the Spirit moving on the face of the waters. Genesis 1:2. Merach Hefet, this is my comment, Merach Hefet, the Hebrew word for hovering, can also mean fluttering, brooding, bird imagery, like a mother hen over her egg.
And so, I get to the end of this podcast. You'll notice that there are multicultural elements involved that has an overlapping, that has a magisterial conjunction in so many ancient religious and even psychological as well as archaeologically discovered symbolisms. This is the point. The hypocephalus is a world image from the ancient world to us, telling us there's a whole lot more to this cosmos than meets the eye. So thank you for joining me in this Backyard Professor podcast series. I'm thoroughly enjoying doing the research and discussing my discoveries with you and my various interpretations. Not that this is dogmatic, correct, true LDS doctrine. I don't speak for the church in these podcasts by any means. This is my personal understanding. But I just like to share it. I'll see you next time on the podcasts. Have a great life.